Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is Rayo and Tech. I hope that everyone is doing well today. Today I have another video which I'm going to be doing. It's gonna be like a video series. This one is for my CYB 630 class of my master's program for GCU. Excited to talk about some of the different type of cybersecurity policies and principles. So if you guys like the content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Other than that, sit back, relax. I got a couple of visual aid, a couple of references to kind of go over with you guys, a couple of terms. But yeah, let's get on with the video. Let's go. First things first, FIPP. We see what is that? It is known as the Fair Information Practice Principle. So what this is known for is making sure that the standards are continued to be useful for privacy and security within like professionals, security professionals, also used to evaluate their Internet of Things like programs and technologies. And so what's great about this is because what it does is that it creates unique characteristics of an industry and organization regarding its requirements. And so you see that it's become a standard in which principles of cybersecurity must be followed. So this is like a reference from Doran Rotman. Pretty much what he's saying in this is that the FIPP, these principles are pretty much like the main standard, especially with companies who are making sure that they have to have security or any type of like sensitive information like data to be protected. And so since they do use a lot of different types of technologies, you have to make sure not only is it implemented correctly, but also secured at the same time. So we use the FIPPs as like a foundation, like base knowledge of it. So that's kind of like understanding the little fundamentals. So we'll kind of build on it. So more knowledge on the fundamentals, as I mentioned, of the FIPPs. I broke it down in a couple categories here. First, we start with the transparency. When using the FIPPs, we have to make sure that there's a clear communication for individuals whose information is being used. The best way to enforce this is with privacy notices being implemented. So just imagine you are online. Right before you enter in your information, you see a prompt saying, "Hey, just a heads up, we're going to be using your information. We ask for your consent." So once you agree to it, that's pretty much like a type of like a privacy policy, letting them know what they will actually do with your information if need be, but they have to get the permission from the actual consumer. Number two, individual participation. Individuals have the right to know where their information is, as well as any way to kind of customize that data as well. Because let's be real, if they're putting in their data, then their data is important, and they at any time have the ability to choose what to do with that data. So you have to make sure that you have that flexibility to be able to like, give them the adaptability of it at the same time, based on what needs are needing to be met. Three is the purpose specification, pretty much talking about the needs needing to be met. It's known for having any data needing to be collected or the overall purpose of when collecting the data. So you usually see this a lot in the privacy policies, where not only do they give you like a disclosure, but they'll also let you know potentially what the data may be used for before collection. So being able to have a type of specification makes it a lot easier to let you know what you need to do with that data. Number four is the minimization of the data. This means that the data needs to be authorized correctly. Unauthorized data doesn't need to be accessed. So you have to make sure that, depending on the levels of the data, certain access is granted to only individuals who actually need the access and are actually authorized. So doing this helps increase not only security, but the overall integrity at the same time of the data. A couple more topics here. Use limitation. Pretty much it ensures the sensitive personal data is only collected at a given use. So pretty much when you're using the data, we're not going to be using it at like different times, like outside of office hours or anything like that. It just lets you keep a better way of enforcing security and also maintaining the integrity of that data. So bringing up data integrity, we also talk about the integrity and the quality of it. So because data is very important, it needs to be secure and also updated and consistent like audits as well. Because being able to have something like this will make sure that you are on like the most latest patches and making sure that that data is secure, because you don't want the quality of the data to go down. Because if the quality of the data goes down, you could potentially have a lot of like bad stuff which could happen, and which result could like help reduce just reputation of the company and also like potential clientele. On that topic, we talk of security. It's important to understand and focus how personal information and data must be secured. That's why implementing tools like the DLP and firewalls are very helpful. So DLP is a data loss prevention system. So pretty much it's very nice because what you can do is if it notices that any type of data might have been exfiltrated outside of hours, it will send an alert. So being able to have this type of monitoring system makes it very helpful, as well as like firewalls. Um, Next is accountability. So whomever is protecting the data must be accountable regarding how to take responsibility in the following policies, as well as the overall protection of the data. So you have different people managing the data. Make sure that whomever is responsible for it also takes accountability for what measures need to be taken, as well as any type of different measures. Lastly, I mentioned auditing earlier, but it's important to have routine audits because what this does is ensures that all the patches and systems are secure, and also make sure that you're testing it in different types of environments, just to make sure you have different vantage points and make sure no potential more vulnerabilities could pop up. So that's just the fundamentals of FIPPs. I got a couple more topics to talk about here. Let's get on with it, yo. Come on. So FIPPs compared to other private policies, laws, and regulations. So I mentioned FIPPs. So the two which I'm going to talk about are the GDPR and the HIPAA, which is HIPAA. So GDPR is usually known as the European Union standard of like security, of cybersecurity. Pretty much, it has a lot of very similar standards to how we manage security here, but there's also additional permissions, as well as like having the accessibility to remove any type of like data rights, um, which the customer doesn't want. So there's a lot of different standards, a lot of different policies, but it's very similar to the overall structure of being able to protect the data. It's just the European standard is a lot more different with a couple more nuances. So the second thing is HIPAA. So HIPAA is known as the overall health standard, pretty much used within the healthcare industry to make sure that sensitive personal health information (PHI) is secure. Because you don't want personal health information to be leaked out, because everyone's health information needs to be protected, but most importantly, it needs to be secure. And so it's really cool seeing how there's different types of laws and policies in place just to make sure that not only are we protected, but the people's information who we're protecting must be protected at the same time. So it's a very good baseline to have. All right. So how FIPPs can be useful in protecting that PII, which is personally protected information. So as I mentioned, one of the big topics are audits, and so it's very important to have consistent audits because it helps boost security as well as force any unpatched error and changes. So what this does is that when you have consistent audits, it will be like every 3 months we're gonna have a security audit where we will hire a team of penetration testers, which will come in and be able to test the security of your organization. And what will happen with that is that you'll be able to see any type of changes which need to be updated, as well as get different types of risk assessments and vulnerability assessments based on the current level of security. Very useful, very helpful, helps boost security overall, but most importantly, it protects the PII. And so that's like the most important thing, is protecting the data. In addition, not only to having security audits, but making sure that you inform the employees about different types of user training against social engineering attacks. And so PII is very important, and it's different types of way which it can be accessed. It's not only can it be accessed through like hacking, it could be accessed through social engineering. So you've seen a lot of attacks, like phishing attacks, where someone will get like a very suspicious email, which looks like a corporate email. Unfortunately, it's not. They click on the email, and what happens is they accidentally enter in their sensitive information. Boom. And then what happens from there is that information is sniffed and it's taken, and someone can be able to exfiltrate different types of data which occurs from that. So it's very best to make sure you have the different type of preventative measures against these type of attacks, as well as having like user training. Very helpful. Lastly, making sure like whenever you have personal identifiable information, whenever you're working within a company, making sure you have a very clear communication line between the shareholders. Because what happens with that is, because sometimes it'll take a while for patches to be fixed, and longer a patch takes to fix, the more money and resources which are used and allocated to fix that. And so being able to have a clear communication timeline, as well as like different types of patches and giving different updates to shareholders, makes it easier, so everyone could be able to be on the same page of what needs to be integrated, as well as the current speed and time of what's going on. Also, so we see FIPPS is very common, but it's also used within like different federal agencies. So we see multiple federal agencies can use each of the policies from FIPPS. Agencies such as like the government, different entities, and private corporations follow similar policies. So you can see like different types of organizations which use a similar type of cybersecurity principle. So it's a very nice like groundwork to kind of work off of. Agencies can use conducted security audits to like improve the security overall within the organization as well as like the infrastructure. With this, being able to have multiple tools after these audits are done, as well as like incident response plans, it makes it easier for companies to not only like prepare but also make sure that they already have the corresponding steps of what happens in case of like potential attacks. Doing this helps security and also just helps organizations overall. With a use limitation, agencies can control data in which use is placed where important information is being collected. And so it's pretty much like think of how different roles are separated. So people who have administrator access, what happens is that they should be able to have access to different types of information and data depending on whatever their role is. So being able to have a type of use limitation, make sure that sensitive data isn't exposed, nor someone who might be at a lower level of authorization shouldn't be able to access it. So you see there's like a sort of like additional layer of security clearance, which you kind of add on top of it. So super nice. Lastly, this is my reference from Doran Rotman, pretty much 2015. He talks about like leveraging FIPPS to proactively manage Internet of Things privacy and security risks. So that is the rest of my presentation, you guys. Just talking about FIPPS and the different policies of how it's used. So it's very important to make sure that we live in a safe digital world. So one step at a time, we do what we can, and we stay blessed, and just make sure everyone is safe. Other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. This is Rayo and Tech. I'm gonna be posting more videos because I got to. And other than that, I'm actually really enjoying it at the same time. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Other than that, stay blessed. Rayo and Tech out. Peace out, y'all.